The siren goes off. It is the RRT Boxing Show. I am your host, Mr. A. Mr. A's thoughts. That's why the screen is how it is. You know, inside the head of the host. The one who runs the facility, the boxing rehab for us junkies here. If you're a boxing junkie, that's why you heard the siren. This is where you're at. Thank you. And today is Mr. A's infamous pound for pound list. Now, everyone, I'm doing it today because, you know, ESPN Boxing Scene released their pound for pound list, and it's a very hot topic. You know, it gets everyone fired up, gets their feathers ruffled, and you get the same debate from each person you talk to. Who's number one? Crawford, Lomachenko. You know, Lomachenko only had this many fights, this one loss. Crawford did this. He's undisputed. Blah blah blah. He's 30 something and oh. Fuck it. You know, what really goes into pound for pound list? We know the weight class and the same size, and you know, can he beat him if that way? We know the original adapts, you know, the story, the origin. We know that shit, but obviously, it has manifested into something else from that. So it's not just what it was originally for. It's not that anymore. So what goes into this modern day pound for pound list? Is it, you know? Well, I don't know. I'm not going to ask what the fuck it goes into. I'm going to say how I do mine. You know, right here on the RRT Boxing Show. Boxing home for us junkies. 3 categories for my pound for pound list. The way we judge it, the way I judge it. I do a 3-year span. I don't want to judge your whole career. I don't want to do that. If you're deserving of pound for pound, then you should have a hot 3 years. You know, that's the way I see it. I'm not going to judge you on some shit you've been doing for the last 7 years. Well, what have you been doing for the last 3 years? That's 9 fights. You know, if you're a superstar, that's 6 fights. You know what I mean? You should have a hot 3 years if you're number 1, 2, 3 pound for pound. So 3-year span, your last 3 years. That's my time span. Your fights. You know, what are they? And then the eyeball test. You know, we gotta say that. You know, we gotta say the eyeball test. So, perfect example of why I'm not doing a career. You know, like, oh, you know, so and so. You know, where are we at here? Where the fuck are we? A career, because everyone has a lot of accolades and great shit, phenomenal records, but last 3 years. So basically, we're going to 2016. Listen to this, folks. Listen to this. What's this? 1, 2. His record is 4 and 1. 4 and 1. Timothy Bradley, Jesse Vargas, Jeff Horn, Lucas Matiste, Adrian Broner. That is Manny Pacquiao. He lost to Jeff Horn. Listen to those opponents, really. Timothy Bradley, he beat him so many times. Then Jesse Vargas, yeah. Jeff Horn, who I really did think beat the shit out of Manny Pacquiao. Was it rough and dirty and tough? You damn right it was. But he beat Manny Pacquiao all around that fucking ring. I don't want to hear nothing. He threw Manny Pacquiao's ass all around the ring and beat his ass. Lucas Matisse, yeah. Adrian Broner, yeah. So that's why we don't do whole careers. 3 years. 3 years. Now, that for the example. Now we will move on to, we're going to do the top 5. The top 5 Mr. A's pound for pound list. Now, I'm going to tell you who is not on it. Not on it is Canelo. He is not on my top 5 pound for pound list. And we would say, why not? We're going to dig into it. 3 years, fights, and the eyeball test. Eyeball test, check, got it. No argument. No need for discussion. 2016, Amir Khan, Liam Smith. Yeah. 2017, Julio Cesar Chavez. Yeah. 17-18, 2 fights with Gennady Golovkin. Not bad, right? 2018, Rocky Fielding. Yeah. So, eyeball test definitely. Opponents, the fights, you know, in a 3-year span. Not much for Canelo, but hell of a fighter. Hell of a fighter, right? Hell of a fighter. Not on my list. Not on my list. Very close to making it. Very close to making it. Bumped out, barely. We're gonna obviously you will find out why he is bumped out. Now, not on the list. Mr. Swift, the new Swift in town, Jared Hurd, almost cracked it at number 5. You know, almost cracked it at number 5. He is my first runner-up. Going back the time span. The time span. 3 years. His last fill-out party. He fought Oscar Molina and Dan. I forgot that. It's a weird name, but we recognize him by, what's his other name? I forgot his name. Can't pronounce, but he was a somebody, but oversized, got his ass beat. So that's his last coming out party. 2006, and then 17, he wins the title. In a fight he was losing, coming back. So how you want to view that? I view that as pretty damn. It's warrior. It's championship material. You're losing, you came back, stopped him, but it was a vacant title. You didn't really beat a champion. You won a belt. So put that into consideration. Beat Austin Trout. Good victory. Defeated my boy. If you're a fan of the show, he beat my favorite fighter, Aries 90 Lara. That right there alone almost got him in fucking number 3. But seriously. That was a, good eyeball test. Good skills. And then he fights Jason Wilburn and does what he has to do. So, maybe if this was 2020 and you do pound for pound list, he might be a little higher. But it's a 3-year span. 3-year span. He started off, he was just coming up, the last of his come up in a 3-year span. So, that's what I said. He's on the cusp of my pound for pound list due to my standards. Now, coming in at number 5. At number 5, you have, and you say who takes Jared Hurd's spot? Number 5, I have Mr. Earl Spence. Mr. Earl Spence Jr. People might say, why is he number 5? Earl Spence is probably going to get number 5 because of the competition within his time span. Because skill, eyeball test, I think we could leave that as a no argument. 3-year span, got to go with the 3-year span, and that's where he gets number 5. Numbers, like I said, his come-up fights, remember, why Jared Hurd didn't make the pound for pound? His 2016 year, the 3-year span rule. Earl Spence, 3-year span rule. His come-up fights, do you remember Jared Hurd's come-up fights? But you remember Chris Algieri and Leonard Bundu. See what I mean? The come-up fights. And after that, Kell Brook. Jared Hurd he won the belt against Tommy Harrison. Championship fight. Kell Brook, Harrison, But then his first defense was a Lamont Peterson and the Carlos Ocampos and the Mikey Garcia. Now, the Laura fight is freaking huge in my book. but the Whalburn against Carlos Ocampo, competent. You can say whatever you want to say about Carlos Ocampo, but it was a mandatory. So you're going to give that to Errol Spence. He had to do what he had to do. It's a mandatory. But the Mikey Garcia, to me, that holds him down. It's a not the name, regardless the name, just not. It's not it for me. And you're wondering like why Mikey Garcia didn't make the list? Nah. Remember, it's a time span, fool. It's a time span. 3 years. 3 years. Now, number four. This one, probably I won't get shitted on, but hey, it's my pound for pound list. My thoughts, Mr. A's thoughts. Thank you for tuning in. Number 4 coming in, folks, is straight out of Japan, 15-0, 8 KOs, Ken Shibu. Ken Shibu, why is he ahead of Errol Spence? And who the fuck is he? Well, if you've been watching the RRT boxing show, you're a boxing junkie. You probably know who the hell Ken Shibu is. WBC World Light Flyweight title. Since 2016, he's come up in Japan. You know, he collected all the OPBF titles, the Japanese titles. His come up fights were collecting titles. You know, and then he defeated a champion, then fought the number 1 contender within, and then another top 10 contender, and on the New Year's of Japan, those big special events, you know, knocked him out. Then he fought the champion he beat again. I mean, he got the match from, knocked him out. And then he fought another former champion in Milan, and then another top 10 opponent in the 2018 New Year. And the only reason I said he gets ahead of Errol Spence because of higher, like I said, it's not well-known competition unless you follow that class. You know, it'll get shitted on, but because it's not worldwide recognized. But for boxing-wise, that weight class, he fought like pretty good. He fought champions, former champions, and like top 10 contenders on the big New Year Eves, the highly celebrated. Because if you're not familiar with Japan, at the end of the year they treat boxing like a fucking Super Bowl. So they have these big ass boxing events. Ken Shibu showed up on those events. So and I put him on number 4 because to me, just visually, he shows a little more. Like I said, this is where I guess your judgment of a boxing pound for pound list comes in. He shows a little more defensively against Errol Spence, but mainly it's just his opponents to me were better, higher caliber opponents. Like I said, Errol Spence on his come up was just regular fights, and then I said the compo I give him a pass, but the Mikey Garcia, good name, but really realistic of it, you know. So number three, I think is no need to. The number 3 is no need to explain for it. I got Lomachenko at number 3. No need to explain that. Number 2, I got Terrence Crawford. And number 1, I have Usyk. Why do I have Usyk, who really doesn't appear on number 1 on anyone's list, and ahead of Crawford? Well, I got him ahead of Lomachenko because he did the undisputed and he's undefeated, so that's an easy argument. Now, him and Crawford both, remember, 3-year span, folks. 3-year span. That's where Crawford fucks up. You know, it's easier for that. It's easier for that. The whole career, if you want to say the whole career, it's fine. Are you gonna give Usyk the same? It's like if you go career for career, it's the same. To me, the way I look at it is, you don't have heavyweights on the pound for pound list. You know, the original rule, it's you know, Crawford was being built up. Usyk came out the gate, and for what 15-0, his 15-0, whatever the hell Usyk is going to be better than Crawford's. 16 fights, 12 knock. His 16 fights are going to be better than Crawford's 16 fights. So you can't do a whole career. You know, the accomplishments for a career, you can't do it. Now, for 3 years, you could do it. You know, if you're hot, you're hot. What have you been doing for the last 3 years? And that's, to me, that's what holds Crawford back as the pound for pound. Like I said, if that it's argument, but to me, that's, if you want to say that, that's kind of what, at least got to be an argument in the pound for pound discussion. You know, who have you been fighting in? And of course, eyeball test. Crawford passes it. Usyk, to me, passes it. You know, different styles, but very good at what the fuck they do. Very good, dominating at what they do. You know, really, when have you seen any one of those dudes touch and in danger for more than like a 45-second span? Crawford and Usyk, they don't get threatened for like more than a 45-second span. They both became undisputed. You know, pretty easily too. Who the competition didn't really threaten any of them. Now, you can say who they fought to get those belts. That definitely comes into a big play. You know, because they both did the same. You can't take. You can eat now. You could Indian burn arms and do everything. Is Julius Ndongo better than Marcos Huck? You know, a worldwide discussion is probably gonna say hell no, because just for the time, Huck was a champion for like 9 years, and Ndongo came out of nowhere. You know, and Usyk beat him convincingly. Crawford knocked the shit out of Ndongo. So they both did the same shit, but competition. 3-year span, folks. 3-year span. Number 2, Terence Crawford. 2016. Lundy. You know, Victor Postile. Good fight. Dominated him. John Molina Jr. 17. Felix Diaz. The out of nowhere Ndongo. Like I said, the fights, eyeball test for Crawford, check. You know, the accomplishments in the fights, check. You know, he showed up and did shit. He showed up, beat these people's asses, took their belts. You weigh in on the people. Jose Benavidez and Amir Khan. Amir Khan's name, like I said, name wise, okay, you want to give it to him. Jose Benavidez, coming off a little while. Jeff Horn, good name, beat Manny Pacquiao, but you know, like I said, he beat the shit out of Manny Pacquiao. But was he really anything for Crawford? Do you blame Crawford for that one? Hey, he got in the ring, beat his ass. That's it. Then you go to like that. That 2016 might mess it up for a lot of people. Maybe next year, the 2020, the rule might help. It might help Jared Hurd, you know, because his 3-year span might be better than Ken Shiro's 3-year span. Now we go to Usyk. Alexander Usyk. Like I said, you can't do whole careers, because whole careers, accomplishments, eyeball test. Who's going to be really better than this guy? Seriously, who? So, but 3-year span evens it out. If you're a hot fighter, you're having hot 3 years. 2016. Minucci, and then 17, Michael Hunter. His come-up fights. You know, in those come-up fights, he won the W. No, actually in 2016, he beat Christopher Glowacki. Got the title in 6,000. While everyone was on their come-up fights, he won the title in 16. defended against Minucci and Michael Hunter. You know, some opponents. Then he enters the tournament, defeats Marco Huck, defeats Breedis, defeats Gassif, champion. And then, like I said, you compare his opponents to Crawford's opponents. And well, who was any one of those champions better than Ndongo? Here, you could argue that, but he fought champion after champion after champion. That's 3 consecutive champions. And then what did he do once he got undisputed? He defended it. That's what everyone seems to forget about Crawford. He never defended it. How can he be pound for pound? Great accomplishment. But he never defended it. You got an undisputed champion who defended it against the last cruiserweight champion before him, Tony Bellew. Like I said, how do you rate Tony Bellew? I don't know, but he was the last champion. See what I'm saying? And that's why Usyk is the number 1 pound for pound on my list. Leave a comment down below. What do you hate? What do you disagree? What do you agree? Thank you for your time and support. The RRT Boxing Show.